Okay, this is part 6 of painting the Storm Giant from Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures. And I'm moving on now. There's the Malefic Flesh instructional set here says that there's like one other highlight that can be done using white flesh. But I just spent a little time kind of declogging the airbrush, and I'm just gonna move on. So I'm gonna continue with base coating, and I'm gonna use the game color line, the extra opaque heavy black green from the Vallejo game color series, and I'm gonna put a little of it here on the palette and mix it with, water. That's what we do. We mix everything with water here. And I'm going to try to get it down to right around, like I said, you can see how thick it is. And it needs to be seasoned with water until it becomes milkshake, or somewhere in that melted milkshake consistency. So with as much paint as I put down, I think that's probably a good starting point to just kind of see, and then I can thin it out a little more if need be. If I need to be. But that looks good. It's thicker than a milkshake, but you know what? That's all right. We can use it, I think. All right, so again, using my number 2 here, my golden maple. And I'm just gonna all of this with this extra opaque heavy stuff, this extra opaque from Vallejo. And I think I'm gonna actually paint these edges above me with like a bronze. So yeah, that's the plan anyway. We'll see where we get. Just paint the day away. I feel like I could just spend all my days making art in some form or another, but also playing, Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said, this is for our Storm King's Thunder campaign. I've been playing with this group for quite a while. That we're getting to the point now where okay, so I guess I'll say, like, spoilers ahead. And maybe, you just want to, if you're looking to play Storm King's Thunder as a player, then maybe watch the rest of this video with the sound off. But the truth is that I assume that if you're watching this video, you're either probably like a dungeon master running the game, and you got to paint all these minis, and you're like just looking for somebody who's painting minis also to just kind of, give some ideas on how to do things, or on maybe what to try. That's exactly what I do. I go out there and I look at all the other people who have painted this mini before, and I think, I like that. Or, yeah, I'm not crazy about that, you know? And that's what I do. I just take a little from them, and I do what I think looks best, or what I think should look best, and then find out doesn't look best. And it's a process. It is a process. So, the maelstrom is the secret layer, or I guess I keep saying layer. It's like the Batman's layer, but it's not really. It's the headquarters for the family of storm giants that lead all the other storm giants, and therefore sort of lead all of the giants if things are as they should be in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. But that's not the case, because in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, things have gone amiss when it comes to the giants. And they're on the rampage. They're just destroying everything. And so the storm giants are the ones who tell them to knock it off. They tell the other giants, you're being too loud. You need to calm down. And they have to listen to them. They have to listen to the storm giants because of something called the ordning. However, the god of giants, Anum, and I feel like this is where it sort of borrows from Norse mythology a little bit. The tale of Storm King's Thunder borrows from Norse mythology, because Anum is like the Allfather, and the Allfather is responsible for everything, possibly creating the world, or maybe not, but in Storm King's Thunder, there's definitely some reference to this Allfather, Anum, the father of all the giants, destroying the ordning as the one who's guilty, right? Because I guess he's mad. I guess it's got some anger issues. Because in another campaign, humans were the ones who put the kibosh on Tiamat's plans. And so Anum is upset that it wasn't the giants who defeated the dragons when it comes to this other campaign, the Horde of the Dragon Queen, I believe. And the way that he kind of wants to, or Anum wants to shake things up, is by destroying the ordning and hopefully getting the giants to come to the realization that the old storm giants, they ain't what they used to be. So Anum destroys the ordning, or removes it, and all the giants go wild. They all go crazy, and they start destroying villages and towns, and somebody's got to stop it, Somebody, meaning the adventurers, the PCs, the player characters. So that's what they've been doing, and it's taken them 2 years to kind of get to the point where they're at now. And during those 2 years, they started off sort of a sleepy little hamlet where everyone was gone. There were holes all over the place. And the player characters, well, they went to explore, and they quickly died by an attack by some wargs. You know, just like from The Hobbit. So, as a dungeon master, I felt kind of bad because, right away, two of my player characters, I think two of my PCs died, like right off the bat in this campaign. But they were new players, they had never played before. And it's hard to sort of teach and expect expertise at the same time, but I guess there's also the danger, the real life danger in the world. You got to make it seem dangerous. It can't just be easy. So I was just going by the rules, I was just following the rules. Jeez, I feel like I sound like a Nazi. I was just following the rules. I killed them, all of them. But that was like the first session. So I did what they call like a Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina. I let the two who died they came back to life. They were given, I asked them if they perhaps wanted some sort of a dark gift. And I thought that would, so I went to the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and I looked up the dark gifts. And I was like, if I want to do a Deus Ex Machina, then I'll ask the players. I'll ask the player what they kind of want. Do they want a like a benevolent, like a good, oh, you got lucky, a fairy godmother came and saved you, or like a malevolent sort of creature or being with its own agenda has helped you in some way to come back. And they chose the malevolent creature with its own agenda, which I thought was, I thought that was interesting. I would have thought either choice was interesting, but they chose to have their well, I guess the thing that we had kind of come up with was their shadow saved them at the last moment from dying, but sort of like Peter Pan's shadow. But as a result, the shadow kind of hung around. I don't know, became a part of their conscious daily activities, much like Peter Pan's shadow. So that was their dark gift. Their shadow saved them, but at a cost. There's always a cost with these things, right? I feel like. So that was how the one player chose to handle it, and the other player, I forget. I think they just quit. I think they were just done. So sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Is that terrible? Sorry, not sorry. I was following the rules. And I don't think they were hurt about it. I think they had other things, They had other, and I'm sure that kind of also probably took some of the, it's a rough, it's a rough thing to lose your character. But and I gave them the option of like a dark entity or a benevolent entity as well, and I think they chose the dark entity. Everybody chooses the dark entities all the time. Jeez. Maybe it's just to play, you know. Maybe it's just in play that they do that, and then in life, in real life, they would hope for the benevolent entity to come and save them. But so yeah, we were gonna do like a family member's ghost. They were dragonborn, so you know, dragonborns have, or you know, dragon. They have like the dragonborns have they have pretty tight families. So like, that's what we were gonna do for that character, but they stopped playing. Like I said, that's fine because the rest of the group stayed, and they seem like they're having a really great time. You know, there's definitely been games where there were too many people at the table during the past 2 years, which is a good sign. Because I kind of have an open table policy for the most part. You know, if I can fit somebody at the table during a game or a session, if it's possible, sure, why not? You know, the more the merrier. I've always felt like. But I feel like 8 people at a table is too much. It's just, you know, that's just pushing it. Maybe I can handle it, but like 8 people at a table, whew, it's a lot. So, but there have been a few times where we had almost 8 people at the table. So I feel like if people show up, that's a good sign. You're doing something right. But D&D is also extremely popular, so you know, anytime you can get a spot at a table. These days, it wasn't popular for a while, you know, I felt like it went through its thing. Okay, so that's the base coat with the heavy blue, black, green. Next up is the heavy blue gray, extra opaque heavy blue gray, and I'm going to put that on these tassels here. I'm sure there's a name for them. I'm sure there's a name in armor speak that explains what those are. And I love all of the vocabulary that you learn when you're in Dungeons and Dragons. It's great. It's just fantastic. You know, porticos, and you get, you know, parapets and all sorts of, you know, language that you wouldn't normally learn when you're just, you know, reading books. And so, you know, I love that there's all sorts of vocabulary in D&D, but when it comes to those little tassels on this guy, I have no idea what they're called. I'm just going to call them tassels. So I've put some heavy blue gray down, and a couple drops of water, bloop, 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 and mix it up. Engage. Okay. And that's probably going to be the exact same color that they are already, but that's all right. That's okay. Just gonna go with it here. Yeah, we'll see. So Autumn the Allfather has destroyed the ordning, and the player's job is to put things right. You know, it's their job to put things right. So that's what's been going on in the campaign so far, is just a lot of them putting things right. as best as they can. And so they stop at the sleepy little hamlet, and they found it was destroyed by, and there was just, you know, some goblins left, I believe. There was just gerblins for the most part. All that was left were some gerblins, and everything else was destroyed. And so the party did their best to aid the townsfolk by going to a little. They went to a little cave, a dripping cave, a cave that dripped. And in this dripping cave, they found an ogre, which they named probably Ogre Bay. And because the ogre had a bay, obviously, who they immediately called to their aid once the party engaged with them. And because the party engaged, with them in a aggressive manner, I believe. I'm not saying that my party's a group of murder hobos, but I think it was obvious that there was not a lot of diplomacy between the party and the ogres. So they killed the ogres and then explored the cave a little more. They found some slime, some ooze. They fought that and they killed it. They fought the swarm of bats that came up out of a hole in the ground as well when they kicked a rock down into the hole. So that was fun. The bard did that. The bard is always getting the party. I feel like our bard in this campaign gets the party into trouble rather than getting them out of trouble more. Like they just kind of they don't de-escalate the situation. They sort of escalate the situation. And that's just what they do. We have a barbarian. I think they've taken a level in bard and a few levels in barbarian and a few levels in bard. So yeah, it's been fun. But they're figuring it out. They're a great group. They're figuring out how to play the game, and they're getting better all the time. And it's been fun having a chance to run a game too. It's just something you got to practice. It's a skill. If you want to improve like anything else as a dungeon master, you have to practice it. So it's been nice being able to practice with them, with this group. And it's actually, it's not really practice. It's the real deal. But groups of new players is what I mean. Okay, I'm going to be very gentle getting down here, but it's too bad because it's the color from the airbrush, almost the blue almost does a nice job of creating some nice reflective light effects. But I'm painting right over it. Done a pretty good job of base coating these. They're almost done. So I think I'm going to stop here for this section and come back. And when we come back, I think we will we'll switch over to the armor. The plan for the armor is to use like a rhinox hide, like a purplish armor, and then like I feel like these are like magical storm runes, and that they should almost, you know. So my plan was to use the like the warlord, bring it up to like a warlord purplish color to kind of make those runes pop like they're magic. So that's the idea. And then again here on the helmet as well, because he's got some like magical runes, it almost looks like here. So that's the plan. And then so we'll probably do that, and then maybe work on base coating the metal. Yeah. So come on back for part, geez, is it part 6? This is part 6, 7? I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll see you then.